Welcome to Lawyers Who Care, the video show podcast that highlights attorneys who go above and beyond for their clients. And on each episode, we will meet a new lawyer, and they will share stories of when they went beyond legal counsel for the benefit of their client. My name is Andrew Samalin. I'm a principal of Samalin Wealth, a nationally recognized wealth management firm for lawyers, their firms, and their clients. And let's applaud Lawyers Who Care and learn from them. Today, my guest is Nicole Grunfeld of Katz, Melinger in New York City. They specialize in employment and labor law. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having me.
Great. So you were with us on Lawyers Who Care podcast about a year and a half ago. Tell us about what has happened with the firm and any other interesting developments you might want to share.
Happy to do so. As you may recall, I am a partner at a very small firm here in New York City. We are 5 attorneys, and we specialize in plaintiffs' employment and labor law, basically representing employees and workers who've experienced discrimination, violation of wage and hour laws, basically being treated poorly or improperly in the workplace. And it's a very quickly evolving area of law. There are always changes. The New York City Council in particular is very active. And we're very fortunate because the New York City laws are very protective of workers, and the council's always working to expand worker protections.
And there's been developments in the media with regard to diversity focus and unfocused and things like that. How does that affect your practice and your cases, either pending or upcoming?
Well, that's an interesting question because I don't want to say it's a fairly recent development, but it takes a while for the ripple effect to hit our clients. There have been changes in DEI efforts, and especially with Supreme Court rulings on DEI in admissions in colleges. A lot of businesses have been looking at their DEI hiring and promotion practices, and there's been somewhat of a step away from explicit DEI initiatives. There's still, I think, a fair amount of sort of under the radar trying to create balanced boardrooms and things like that, but businesses aren't touting it as much. They're doing it a little more silently. We're finding there's a little less of an effort to promote diversity and a little more in the way of snide commentary towards people who are on the job and who are come from a minority background and underrepresented background. There's been somewhat of an uptick in commentary, sort of questioning whether they merit their positions or not. It creates a little more of a hostile environment than we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm. So, would you like to share a story of something that has happened either to one of your clients or something on a macro basis?
Sure. We see a lot of different types of cases. The workplace issues can cover a range of very small statutory violations to really egregious violations. We've been seeing more recently what I'll call more hybrid situations where there's both a discrimination element and a wage and hour element. So just to give you an example, so that I cover a broad array of issues. One case that we worked on recently was actually a case with manual laborers who were not getting paid properly on a number of fronts. One major issue was that they were being paid on an hourly basis, but they were not being paid overtime for the hours that they worked over 40 per week. In most industries, if you're not subject to an exemption, then you're entitled to time and a half if you work more than 40 hours per week. There are some exceptions to that, but for the most part, and especially for manual laborers, it's time and a half after 40 hours per week. And these workers were getting paid their regular wage, but not the time and a half. And it started out as a one-person case. One person contacted us and said, hey, I'm working around 50 hours a week and I'm not getting paid extra. And what makes these cases sometimes challenging is for low-wage earners, the difference between what they should be earning and what they are earning is a lot to them, but can be dwarfed by the amount that it would cost to bring a lawsuit, which is why class actions, and in the wage and hour context, there also there's a device called collective actions, are good mechanisms because you can group a whole bunch of people who possibly have small claims together in order to make it worthwhile to bring litigation. And as it turned out in this case, all of the employees were being denied proper overtime, which, magnified the amount of damages available. And in the course of working on the case, what also became clear is that some of the employees were also so these were laborers who traveled to different work sites, and it turns out that they were not being paid for their travel time. They were only being paid for the time that they worked at each site. And if they were traveling between various sites, let's say, Long Island, Westchester, whatever, that could be a couple of hours per day, which adds up over a period of time to time that they weren't being paid for. So those were claims that we pursued on behalf of a class of workers. And then what made this case interesting is that one of the workers also had individual claims for discrimination. Usually when we're dealing with a class, it's a one widespread pattern that applies to everyone. In this particular case, there was one worker who had been temporarily disabled and had not been able to work in the field. However, there was office work that could have been provided to him. He could have done other jobs for the employer and gotten paid for it with a reasonable accommodation. There are different standards under the federal, state, and city law for what's required, for even what qualifies as a disability, but then also what's required for the employer when an employee presents with a disability. And in this case, the employee could have performed some of the functions of his job had the employer engaged in an interactive process and made some accommodations. So overall, it became a successful case for us and for them. It was around 20 employees, so not a huge operation, but certainly not small, and it was meaningful for the employees involved. They all were owed back wages, both for unpaid overtime, for unpaid straight time for the travel hours that they spent, and then there are also statutory violations that nobody outside of employment law knows about. But when you come to us, we'll say, oh, they owe you, $5,000 for this, $5,000 for that, because there's certain information that's supposed to be included on your pay stubs that they didn't include, and it adds up. And for manual workers who don't earn a high salary, this can be very life-changing money. And then for our one client who had been disabled for a period of time, we were able to get him some extra money as well for the period of time that he could have worked had the employer accommodated him.
Well, it's interesting. This really does go above and beyond, because at the end of the day, I don't know, these aren't $100 million settlements. These are meaningful applications of advocacy, helping these people and changing their lives.
That's exactly right, Andrew. We certainly do get clients who make a lot and who work for Fortune 500 companies. And we're happy to work with them and help them if they've been wronged as well. But what got me into this business and what sets my heart aflutter is helping the workers who don't earn a lot, and it's more difficult for them to find advocates and to get the legal requirements that they're entitled to.
Right. Everyone, this is the Lawyers Who Care video show podcast, and the perfect example of this, of someone going above and beyond, Nicole Grunfeld of Katz, Melinger. Nicole is located in New York City, and she focuses on employment and labor law. Nicole, for those that want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to do so? Phone number, email, social? What do you like?
Either way, we have a website, which is katzmelinger.com. Melinger is spelled with one L. People like to put two L's in there. So it's KATZMELINGER. And our phone number is 212-460-0047. At the website, you can also find my email address, or you can submit a general inquiry to the firm, and someone would get back to you. If you're looking specifically for me, you can reach directly for me. Otherwise, someone from the office can set you up with another attorney.
Wonderful. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Andrew. Have a good day.